Hey, what's up, you filthy degenerates? It's me, your residential fantasy nerd and chaos mage, Shadowhawk. Before we get started, hit the subscribe button if you want more content where I critique and I talk about story and art in video games and role-playing games and movies and film. This is gonna be kind of a long one, but it's just gonna be me talking about my taste, my overall view of the fantasy genre, where how it started with Tolkien, where it is now, and the pros and cons. So please stay informed and hit the start button. I am setting up a Baldur's Gate 3 live stream on Facebook this Wednesday, and you're more than welcome to watch, and it'll be down the link below. So let's get started. So here's the thing. Lord of the Rings was phenomenal. It is still phenomenal. Tolkien started an entire genre of fantasy that still stands to this day. A deep mythology that inspired Star Wars, Harry Potter. I mean, The Hobbit literally is the first journey, is probably one of the earliest known versions of the monomyth done right in the modern day times. The Hobbit is literally Bilbo Baggins and a bunch of dwarves going on a D&D quest to steal the gold from the dragon with the guidance of the wise wizard slash archangel Gandalf, and Tolkien really told a really fun story. The Hobbit was a great book. It really was like laid the foundation for every D&D campaign that has followed since. The Hobbit was the OG D&D campaign. And no, I really love the movie The Hobbit. A lot of people get that movie shit, but I really enjoy it. And I really like how Peter Jackson brought Tolkien to a modern day audience. I mean, Tolkienism is like an entire literary heritage of fantasy and storytelling ability that everyone has that started, that was the granddaddy to D&D, fantasy shows like Game of Thrones. All modern day fantasy can trace its roots back to Lord of the Rings, and before that they can trace their roots back to things like Beowulf or romantic fantasy romanticism from the late Enlightenment era. I mean, there's a lot. The fantasy goes back a long ways. It's an evolving genre, and that's why people should look at fantasy media. I mean, if we stay stuck in Tolkien's worldview, then fantasy wouldn't evolve. People of color, women wouldn't be anywhere near as represented in modern day fantasy as they are now. That's why I really hate Tolkien purists. I mean, they act, and by Tolkien purists, no, the Catholic Tolkien purists, when they say every other form of fantasy is a deviation or a cheaper version of Lord of the Rings. Look, art expand every time a great artist creates something, people expand upon it, and art can outlive and evolve beyond the artist. I mean, the same logic with H.P. Lovecraft. Terrible person. I mean, I'm not saying Tolkien was a terrible person, but genres of fiction and entertainment have to evolve beyond their original concept for them to reach a wider audience and to have an impact on people. And Tolkienism is no different. But yeah, no idea, no art form, no form of storytelling exists in static. Things are constantly evolving and changing, and the monomyth and fantasy are definitely no strangers to this. And that's my issue with people who give Rings of Power shit. Look, that's the same shit people were giving the Lord of the Rings movies back in the early 2000s, okay? Every idea evolves and changes and becomes broader and more open to people over time. And Tolkienism is a prime example of that. I think Peter Jackson did a really good job of that with the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies. And once again, D&D, Game of Thrones, Witcher, all are descended from the lineage of Tolkien, and they expanded his worldview to include people of everyone. They made it so everyone can be part of the fantasy tradition that it started with Tolkien, and we see with this in Harry Potter, Elder Scrolls, I mean, modern day fantasy has evolved, and that's where role-playing games come from, we can all be the Hobbit. We can all be Bilbo Baggins, or an elf, or a Dragonborn, or a filthy Khajiit furry. We can all go on these fantasy adventures, be whoever we want to be, go on the quest, slay demons, save the world from the demonic dragon elder gods, fuck Cthulhu, fuck the elven women and their elven coven, but also be a lawfully neutral thief bard who has a heart of gold. That's just what fantasy is, and I love that about modern day fantasy and D&D and modern day fantasy role-playing games. We can all have our own journey. We can all have our own adventure. The D&D role-playing multiverse that is role-playing games is the universe's greatest MMORPG. We're all going on adventures across these fantasy worlds, having fun, going on adventures with our friends, being the Bilbo Baggins of our own story, being the Gandalf of our own story, being the Eowyn of our own story, being the elven warrior queen who overthrows the tyrannical demon prince and then fucks some elder god, you know, and this I love that, and we wouldn't have that if it weren't for Tolkien. He got the ball rolling, and so many authors from R.L. Salvatore, Troy Denning, George R. Martin expanded it and created their own version of it. I mean, the idea that any art form has to be contained to a certain time and place, I fucking hate. That's where I love hardcore fantasy nerds in these spaces really gatekeep, and they prevent new voices and new perspectives and from being heard and told, and they prevent other people from having their own story, their own adventure. Really, what Tolkien did, he started a fantasy universe that was a theater that expressed his view of reality, the deep hero's journey, the monomyth that we all go on, the fellowship of diverse cast of different heroes who go on adventures to save the world from evil. There's a deep cosmological battle between the forces of darkness and light. There is a huge. The Silmarillion is an amazing book. It's literally like a fantasy Bible. It talks about it creates an entire mythology and Tolkien wanted to create a mythology for modern day people in England, and that's why Lord of the Rings really stands out. Um, the Silmarillion talks about the gods, the Valar, the war between good and evil, the magical rhythm and music of creation that was created by none other than Yahweh, or also known as Iluvatar, and Melkor brought chaos into that song, that cosmic melody, and that's how the universe was created, and that's an amazing creation story. Tolkien took all these mythologies, mixed them with his own Christianity, and created a beautiful vision that is striking, inspiring, and talks about deep spirituality. I mean, even look at the nature and his view of like industrial evolution, how that perverts the beauty of nature. Middle Earth is meant to represent a beautiful elven world where, in touch with the spirit and the magic of creation, everything is alive, everything is part of this grand tapestry of life, and evil and darkness comes around to corrupt it. Melkor, the orcs, Morgoth, the dragons. It's a good metaphor for sin and the effects of evil has had on a beautiful verdant paradise. We see that when Solomon is trying to turn the forest of, I forget the name of this divine forest, into destroys it and harvests it, kills the ants and their tree friends, and uses it to create an army of demonic orcs and their evil war machine. And the symbology of Melkor and Sauron creating these dark, twisted armies that pervert the land and destroy nature and beauty to create this dark industrial military complex is just inspiring. It really shows Tolkien's worldview, the war between good and evil. I mean, how do you use gifts of life and magic? Do you use it to control and dominate, or do you use it to heal and balance and breathe life and bring love into the world? And that's something Tolkien was really good at. Tolkien also focused on how all life is created by the gods and is a beautiful divine thing, and the gods created like eagles and fae spirits to watch over the world and nurture wilderness and nurture nature, and the humans, the elves, live in balance with nature. They live in balance with the Holy Spirit that is Iluvatar's like essence and his magical song across creation. And I really like how that magic system works. There's and the morality of Lord of the Rings is evil can seem like a good idea. It can pervert you, and the Rings of Power represent that. They can pervert you, and I will create peace everlasting if you only submit to me. And the Rings of the Power is really delving deep into that lore very well with the war between Sauron and the elves, and how he creates these magical rings that can so metaphysically transform the universe, and he will use them under pretext to render to me and worship me as God, and I will create peace everlasting. And it's a great mythology. Tolkien really got the ball rolling on this deep metaphysical war between good and evil within all of us. And I really respect him for that. I really do. And how evil can corrupt us and transform us into things we never thought we'd become, all because we think we're doing the right thing. Now, I'm not saying Tolkien's views were great. I disagree with traditional Catholicism, like you wouldn't believe. I'm not a Catholic, but there's this symbology in there that I think most of us can get behind, even if you're not a Christian. But I am a Christian, so I really do identify with it. And Sauron He was a great character in Rings of Power. Great character. He thinks what he's doing is the right thing. He honestly thinks that the ends justify the means, and now and he's willing to do whatever it takes, even though he's just feeding his own ego. And how many of us suffer with that, you know? And then we get into like how this worldview transitioned into modern D&D. Every great DM is a miniature Tolkien and trying to reinvent his storytelling. Matt Mercer created a modern day Middle Earth with his Critical Role series, and how all the characters are interacting and like forging their own destiny. And like I think the Critical Role universe is brilliant and deep. Yeah, but the advent of role-playing games and D&D have continued the genre that Tolkien created and so many authors have created since. It allows us to live in fantasy multiverse where we can be the hero of our own journey. We can truly be who we want to be in the ethereal space of our imagination, you know? We can go on these quests. We can play God, for fuck's sakes. I have a huge God complex. That's why I always DM over being a role player. We can read these adventures. We create these worlds to explore. We have our friends we go on these adventures with. We slay demons. We kill dragons. We sleep with nymphs. We commit genocide of the hobbits. You know, role-playing games are an amazing way for us to live out the monomyth in our own way. It's one of the greatest forms of art and storytelling magic that allows us to truly be the hero, be the villain, to make the hard choices, to be who we always wanted to be. It's amazing for LGBT people. It's amazing for people who are artistic to form friendships and come out of their closet and truly be who they want to be. And I love that about role-playing games. It allows us to create our own mythology, live in our head, going on the adventures that Bilbo Baggins went on, Luke Skywalker went on. We do so much for building up confidence and merging the hero of our imagination into our day-to-day lives, and I love that. Role-playing games are an amazing way for us to form a moral code, form values, and to test out who we are in this ethereal, magical multiverse and put that into our normal day-to-day lives. Helps us form friendships, helps us come out of our shells, helps us really bond with people, helps us create the most memorable, enjoyable, fun, fucked up moments possible in day-to-day life. It's not just a stress reliever, it's an amazing way to magically reorient yourself and develop the kind of person you want to be, you know? And Critical Role is amazing at that. I love Critical Role. I love the D&D market. I love how people can now capitalize on their D&D campaigns, their ideas, and their theater craft, and make money off of it, and bring untold amounts of people along with them and their party on the ride, and create this magical space where people can inhabit and go on adventures in, and truly just have the funnest adventures in. And I really love that about Critical Role in the D&D industry. It's really allowing us to create. Anyone can be a modern day Tolkien. Anyone can have a fan base. And the YouTube streaming platforms for high players, actual play is an amazing way for people to do these adventures, make money, make content, make art, and immerse their players and their viewers in this magical experience. I personally believe role-playing games are the ultimate form of personal transformation and really a form of magic that we can use to self-actualize and find out who we are for ourselves, going on these ventures, defying ourselves. It allows us to do the monolith of Luke Skywalker on a day-to-day basis. It allows us to go off and slay the demons, save the world from the demonic apocalypse, become the chosen one, align with the gods. An amazing D&D book series I recommend people who like the spirituality of the writings. Beloved D&D would be the Dragonlance series, run by two Christian authors who had a deep sense of faith, but also huge D&D nerds, and they actually come from my hometown of Wisconsin. And they created the first real D&D supplement. Well, D&D itself started in Wisconsin. We can claim that. That's fucking awesome. We're not just a bunch of cheese fuckers and goat fuckers and inbred ball-wigs and brine eggs. We have some really cool nerdy shit that's coming out of Madison, Wisconsin. I really appreciate that about my hometown. Yeah, a lot of cool things have come from D&D. A lot of fun experiences. It allows us to self-actualize, form friendships, and form our identity to become much more interesting, eclectic individuals. I really enjoy that about role-playing spaces. Expands our minds, expands our imaginations, expands our identity. It's great. And the really cool thing about role-playing video games like Elder Scrolls or D&D or Warhammer, it creates these vast mythologies full of complex cultures and characters, and symbolizes the conflicts between good and evil, order and chaos, and what choices you want to make. Do you choose your own power or do you choose to help others? And role-playing games can really make a really good form of morality, and inspire you to be the hero or the villain or something in between. They really do a good job of displaying the pros and cons of every choice and decision, and the relationships you form with people can be really a good way of saying like, what do I want to turn this character into? Do I want to make them? Do I want to leave them for the better or leave them for the worst? Or do I mold them in my own image? And role playing games are really good at that. I mean, Elder Scrolls in general is just an amazing like modern day mythology that outdoes even Tolkien in a lot of ways, with the wars between gods of order and chaos, the deep multiverse cosmology. It's really fun. It's really fun for pagans to get for people who want to get their pagan on. They want to slay demons, kill the filthy Daedra, sell their souls to Moloch Ball, praise Moloch Ball, praise my demon daddy. You know, do all the bastardry and whoredom to the Daedra gods, and be an absolute asshole to everyone in your area. And there's fantasy racism, so of course I love it. Ah, man, and there's so much fun in Elder Scrolls. The adventures you can be, the asshole you can be, the fucking asshole who kills a chicken and then slaughters an entire village, who commits manslaughter of an entire species of elf. There's a lot of good, cool meta shit in Elder Scrolls. I fucking love it. Just the role playing ability, the sandbox nature. You can be anything, do anything, and once again, sell your soul to Moloch Ball. Hell, fucking yes, praise Moloch Ball. You know he's a Chad. No, Elder Scrolls just has a very, very, very deep lore, and you can get lost in it, and people debate the metaphysics and the religions of the Elder Scrolls even online. It's ridiculous. No, there's a deep mythology, Elder Scrolls, and multiverse, and how you chosen ones pop out of nowhere, and their decisions impact the world for both the good and the worse. And that's a really good monomyth right there. Role-playing games really give us a good sense of. I get more morality teachings from Mass Effect or Dragon Age and how I treat people and decisions I make than I ever do from like say some Jesus freak priest telling me how to live my life. They teach you how to treat people. They teach you how to how to interact with people and the pros and cons of every interaction. Can define what kind of person you are, both in game and in real life. You know, it can really inspire you to think a certain way about political situations, religious situations. I mean, the first three Age games are literally you can create a very reformed and open-minded church, or you can uphold the status quo. You can fight for social progress both in the religious and the secular world for elves, non-humans, and mages. Or you can enforce order and you can uphold the status quo, and it's a really good take. I love the take on the Chantry in Dragon Age. It really talks about both the need for religion and the abuse of religion, and I really find that interesting and fascinating. Oh man, I mean, Chantry is a good commentary on Christianity. I really do appreciate it for that. And Elder Scrolls, it's fun to slay demons. Okay, it's fucking fun to slay demons. Go into oblivion, fuck the Daedra, and in Dragon Age you can literally sleep with a succubus. Hell fucking yes. And then you can get pegged by Karlach in Baldur's Gate 3. That's also awesome. Get pegged by a demon woman. Hell fucking yeah. While still being the hero. You know, I love how you can be whatever you want to be in games like D&D or Baldur's Gate 3. Um, no, Elder Scrolls is really good game. Praise Moloch Ball. Praise Moloch Ball. There's even chaos mages on on TikTok who act like they're being possessed by Asterion or Moloch Ball. It's such a terrible time to be alive. It really is. It's cringe as fuck. I should do TikToks that. Praise Moloch Ball. But no, role-playing games give us a really good sense of character building, sense of identity, what kind of choices we make, how we treat people, the kind of people we want to be friends with, how we. And once again, it's role-playing games, whether it be tabletop or MMOs or whatever, is a great way to build community, be vulnerable with people, and form deep friendships and find a sense of community you find nowhere else. I really appreciate role-playing games for that. Yeah, and like once again, I've said this before, Lord of the Rings and Star Wars old school fantasy has given us such modern day monomyths to live by. Luke Skywalker. There's so many heroes' journeys out there, and D&D and role-playing games allows us to form our own hero's journey instead of observing others, and I really enjoy that. Everyone can be the hero. The monomyth has never been more alive than it is now, thanks to the widespread nerd culture of D&D and role-playing video games. I really enjoy that. The community, the sense of adventure and character building you can do both in your imagination and in real life. So above, so below. It's really good stuff. It's really good stuff, and I really enjoy the atmosphere role-playing games are becoming. I really do appreciate that. We've unlocked it from the neckbeard game gatekeepers to anyone can be whoever they want to be, and that can intercede both in the imagination and real life. And something I'll say about Lord of the Rings before I quit and go into my little announcement here. Lord of the Rings and good Christian fantasy and or good monomyth fantasy in general gives us a diverse group of characters who come together, fight for the common good, and save the world from the darkness that wishes to consume us all. And that should be more alive than ever. I do think there should be good and evil. There is a battle between good and evil in reality. There is evil, there is good, and there's this massive conflict in the cosmology of the universe between order and chaos, good and evil. And whose side do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the side of love and joy, or do you want to be on the side of hate and darkness? There's a conflict within all of us, and I love that about role playing games and how they can like navigate these situations and how that can impact how we view modern day politics. Um, Tolkien did a really good job of creating mythology, and many fantasy writers have expanded his vision since, and I really appreciate that. Nothing exists in static, and role playing games and fantasy is for everyone, and we should learn that. Let everyone be Bilbo Baggins. Let everyone be Tom Bombadil. Let everyone be the hero. Let's not try and constrain the hero's journey to just one kind of person, you know? The true hero's journey knows no gender, no race, no creed. Anyone can be the hero if they get up, suck up, freaking grow a spine, and get out of their fucking place of comfort, their little hobbit hole. They go on the adventure of a lifetime and change the world for the better. And I want to announce this before I let go for the day. I am working on a Baldur's Gate 3 campaign on my Facebook channel, and I am building a new website that should be done in the next month or so. And yeah, if you really want to join my D&D like role playing support group that can help people find a sense of community and have fun and be creative and form community, role play and explore their own self, their own psychology, join our group, join us in Discord. Till next time, folks, be sane and go fuck the hobbits.